Hey everybody, this is Cheri Stoka. Again, this is my second video discussing the continuous glucose monitoring device and the experiment that I'm going to be running for at least the next 3 to 6 months. So I wanted to just lay the foundation of why I decided to do this, because I think it's really important to understand what managing and monitoring your glucose levels means for your health. And most people think about people that have diabetes. Obviously, they're managing or they're checking their glucose levels very frequently. And someone who is healthy, you kind of wonder, well, why would you need to check your glucose levels? So there's a couple of different reasons, and there's, everyone's reason for doing this may be unique. Mine in particular was to see if, really my glucose levels were aligning with my habits. With my diet, with my exercise regimen, with my stress levels. I really wanted to better understand what was helping me and what was hurting me, really, where I wanted to see where I could make some little tweaks to just my habits. And I'm not going to really get into the science of it all. I'm going to be doing a whole webinar on that. But I just thought it was really important for people to see me go through this because, as an owner of Weight Loss MD, who is a weight loss business that really looks at foundational health, this could really be a crucial piece to getting people in that healthier state. So just some highlights for the first couple of days on my glucose monitor. I do use a company called Nutrisense, and they've been awesome. I mean, they're very responsive. You can work with a dietitian individually. And so all the education that you get through them is awesome, but sometimes you just need people to break it down in a practical sense. So I would say highlights for people to know the first couple days is really making sure that you're kind of taking the first 24 hours and not really reading too much into those levels, because there is kind of a calibration period. And most glucose monitoring devices, whether it's the continuous glucose monitor or your glucometer that you would check, you prick your finger and you check multiple times a day, there is some error variance in that. So with this, you just want you want the monitor to kind of get used to you. And then after 24 hours, you can kind of make your adjustments so that your measurements are more accurate. So that was a really important piece. And then I would say like the first couple days, I'm like becoming really obsessed with this because you're really supposed to just check your sugar. I mean, basically what happens, it's monitoring your sugars 24/7. But if you want to see what's going on at the moment, you take your phone, the camera, and you kind of just hold it under there for 2 seconds, and it gives you the actual glucose level at the moment. So I do it right now. I'm doing it probably 8 times in a 24-hour period. So not necessary, but I just want to get a quick snap look at what is happening at the moment. So you can see here on my screen that I had like a level that really skyrocketed today. And so I was going back to my regimen. You can see I wake up, my fasting levels are pretty normal. And then I have breakfast, and actually I don't eat a whole lot. So I didn't really see much of a spike in my sugars. But then, I went for a run, and then I've been seeing my blood sugars go down, which is normal because of the insulin response and that type of thing. And then when I got back from my run, I saw this like huge spike. So I was thinking, okay, what in the world? I didn't eat. I don't think I was like under any sort of stress. But then I did recall that I did like a 15-minute weight workout. And so it likely triggered the stress and the exercise that I was doing because I was lifting weights with my arms. And so I got that spike, and that actually is very normal. to get that spike from an exercise, a burst of exercise. And that has a lot to do with your body trying to access glucose when really I didn't have, I was almost in a fasted state just because I eat very minimal, like healthy fats in the morning. So I'm not really spiking my blood sugar. So then it's actually a good thing because your body is actually going to your stores for that energy. So then it quickly came down. And so that was all good. But again, this is just the first time that I'm really assessing like different exercises and, the response to that. Some other things that I noticed, and it's not showing, I don't have it up on this screen, but this was huge for me. So, I'm a dietitian and, we keep up with the science as much as we can, but then it's kind of like we take the science and then you kind of, combine it with clinical experience and all that. So when you talk about, sugar, we know sugar is like obviously the culprit that increases blood sugars, but then there's always been this debate about sugar sweeteners. So there's different kinds of sugar sweeteners. There's sugar alcohol, there's artificial sweeteners, there's stevia, etc. So in one of my other reports, I noticed that I was getting like, after a meal, it was fine, but then I would get like this spike, like an hour or a half hour later. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. So when I looked at when that was happening, it just so happened that I would chew a piece of gum after I ate, and those sugar alcohols in the gum actually spiked my sugars. I mean, if that couldn't have been more eye-opening for me, because I've always been like a chronic gum chewer, and that literally is going to change my habits almost immediately because of that. So these are just some, little perks, little highlights as I begin, and I'm excited to dig into this even more and really help people understand the value of looking at your blood sugars. Thanks so much.